Hello, everybody, wherever you may be around the world. Thanks for coming back. Third shot, third time's a charm. Welcome back to Ham Radio Live. We'll do it until we get it right here. Absolutely. Welcome back. We don't monetize the channel. We won't see any ads here, from dog food to credit cards to ways to make sure that you keep your weight down. Not going to happen here. We just make sure and ask you to please, subscribe. Just subscribe to the channel. It will help people find the show right here on the old YouTube. That's kind of nice, right? You won't see an ad, and I can get people to learn about ham radio, and you can help them do that by subscribing too. So please hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you a thing, and it really does matter, because we're hearing people from around the world. Welcome wherever you are. We'll take 3 now. Man, I love it when the stream drops. All of a sudden, it goes stream drop. You gotta go, huh? Okay. Anyway, so then you try and restart it. Now, oftentimes when I go to restart the stream, okay, I go to restart and it'll say, would you like to resume the prior stream? Yes. Okay. Then basically I just come right back in. You barely notice any difference. I pick up where we left off, but not this time. No, of course, it starts brand new again. I'm like going, that's wonderful. No! Thank you so much for doing that for me. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here wherever the heck you are there in internet land. No! Anyway, so we want to welcome you back to the show. Today we got a great show for you. I do want to tell you just a little bit before we get started about something really cool. Yesterday, had an opportunity to spend a little bit of time with my 2 grandnephews. They are 6 and 8. Great kids. If you haven't seen the previous show of Ham Radio Live, where we did the CQ Worldwide show, I do want to tell you, that was a tough show to do. Only heard in the right ear. That's all I heard it on. Also, many calls made where they're only 2 kilohertz or less apart. Did you notice that? One was only 1 kc apart. 2 were made 2 kilohertz apart. That's how close they were. And the AC101, the FTDX 101 Delta just handled it. Now, it takes a lot of work to, filter it, but it works. That's that's stellar. That's the best receiver I've ever used. I do believe the FTX 10 will probably replicate most of it. However, without VC Tune, it's hard to say. Welcome to the show. Today's Ham Talk Live. We talk about a subject and we bring it up around the world, and people get a chance to give their 2 cents or 3 or whatever it might be. First, I want to show you my little grandnephew, his first QSO, 8 years old. He was afraid to use the microphone. I kept telling him, buddy, try it. Do it. You can do it. No, I don't think so. You can do it. Try it. Just try it. Now listen to this clip. Watch. You won't see him, but listen to when he first makes the call, how excited he is because he got to say it, right? But then the guy responds back and you'll hear some excitement. Here's an 8-year-old's very first QSO on ham radio.
Go ahead. Kilo 7 Hotel November.
Yes.
Kilo 7 Hotel November 591154.
Hear that?
59003.
59003.
Hurry up, yep.
59003.
13013.
Say 003. So say 003.
003.
003. Thank you for the correction. Good luck. Have fun.
Now listen.
You just did it.
He did it. Yes, he did. That was made all the way to Alaska. Yeah, and it was fun because I could tell him, hey, that's the North Pole. You just contacted the North Pole. It was the North Pole Ham Radio Club, okay? A little stretching, but it's okay. He's happy, man. That's a great call. His little brother, by the way, these 2 kids put together the chameleon antenna themselves. Took them about 15 minutes. I showed them what to do. They by hand did everything. I made sure that they by hand did it all. Then we went inside the house. They by hand did the power supply, the connector to the ICOM 7300, hooked up the antenna, then hooked up the ground, then hooked up the microphone. They did it all themselves. And you know what? They made calls. The 6-year-old made 2 of them to Northeast Ontario, one just north of Niagara Falls. He was thrilled. The second one made the call up to Alaska. It was fun. By the time we were done, the 6-year-old walking his bike next to me said, Uncle Larry, next time you come, can you please bring your ham radio again? Isn't that cool? So impressions are made, and that's pretty special. And if you have any young ones in your family, think about maybe sharing your rig a little bit with them. You might just impress them to the point that they get interested in ham radio. And what better teacher than you, right? It's pretty cool. Welcome to the show today. Before we start, I want to remind you, if you would like to get into ham radio, is we get tons of emails from folks that are from around the world that say, we'd love to get into ham radio. I, in fact, got one yesterday where a gentleman said, my dad used to do it. I've thought about it. I just don't know how to get started. Here's how you get started. The American Radio Relay League is all set up. They're in Connecticut to help you get on the road to ham radio. Even if you're not in the United States, they can help you find a local radio club that's near you. Yeah, simple. Just contact them at www.arrl.org. For your convenience, I'll put the description at this video here. I'll put a hyperlink for the American Radio Relay League right there in the description section. All you got to do is click on that link. It'll take you right to their page. Go to Contact Us, send them an email. They will follow up with you, and they'll help you get started into ham radio. Welcome to the show, everybody. Today's 28th of March, 2021, the end of CQ Worldwide at SSB. We've survived. It's great. Yesterday's show, by the way, last night was tough. I was up till about 3 a.m. doing that. Then this morning, woke up early to send over a dozen emails to every single contact that I made. I'll share the log with you because the log was pretty extensive, considering that basically this was done simply from 7.1 to 7.2. That's all I worked. And I wasn't going to work any more than that because, quite honestly, I couldn't. It was getting too late. But the point is, the way that this radio behaved really blew me away. I knew it was good. I knew the FTDX 101D and MP were good. I didn't realize they were this good. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to show a copy real quick of my QRZ logbook. It'll give you an idea of what I worked last night. And also, imagine waking up in the morning and then having to look at a video, right? Look at a video. And then remember, because I know what time I started, so I had to backtrack the time, list every QSO that I made, log them, then send each one of them an email with the link to the show, letting them know that, hey, they were on the show. Here's a link to it. Thank you very much for coming on. I always do that. I try to always do that. Let me show you what that actually looked like from yesterday, because it'll give you a good idea of exactly what we did. It was pretty cool, really was, because a lot of calls were made to around the world everywhere. Literally, it was pretty darn slick. So let me get to that point where I can get you there, and I'll unlock this scene, and we'll get you to the point where you can doggone well see it. There it is. Okay, so take a look. It starts there with the Victor Kilo. Where is it there? Victor Kilo 2, Whiskey Victor. So VK2 WWV. And then look your way up, okay? The next two are 1 kc apart. And that shows. It's right there on the video. You can see it. It happens. This radio just worked two signals, 1 kc apart. Now you might say, well, okay, 1 kc apart. Not so bad. Now hold on a second. One of them's in the U.S. The other one is all the way in Oahu. You think the one in the Oahu was real strong? Really wasn't. So one was harder to work than the other, right? Okay. Then the next one, take a look there at 7.180 to 7.182. One's to New Zealand, one's to the United States. Do you think the U.S. one was blanking out the one from New Zealand? It was. But with the VC2 that's on the 101 Delta, I was able to attenuate out enough of the signal, even though it was 2 kcs away, to be able to pick up Zulu Mike 4 Tango. Pretty cool. Then it happened again. November Oscar 6 Tango. That's in the United States. Then 2 kcs up. Juliet Alpha 7 Victor November Hotel in Japan. Okay. So 3 times this transceiver literally picked up signals that were DX, literally DX, with a US signal right by it, 2 away. That's fantastic. That's why this transceiver is ranked so high. It makes that much of a difference. Now, in everyday use, are you really going to notice that? Probably not. You're just going to like it as a receiver. But as a contest receiver, as a performance receiver, that's why it's ranked as high as it is on Sherwood's list. That's the reason why. It didn't happen just once by a fluke. It happened 3 times. One was KC, 1 KC apart. The other 2 were 2. That's pretty impressive. That really is, especially considering in all 3 circumstances, I was able to still work DX on the other side. All right, welcome to the show. Today we got a great show for you. It's Ham Talk Live. We have a question for you today, and this is going to be a fun one. I'm excited to share this with you. You got $3,000 in your pocket. Before you burn a hole in it and you go out and you buy something weird, you're going to buy something for your shack. All right. Now you got a chance to buy yourself a transceiver. Maybe you want to get a brand new Yaesu 101D. You want to try it out. Perhaps you want that beautiful ICOM IC7610. The glorious screen, beautiful piano black front finish. It's gorgeous. Maybe you want to get a used Kenwood TS890S or a loaded up Elecraft K3S. Could be an Apache Labs. Might get one of those. Maybe you pop over and get yourself a Flex radio. Could be something like that. Now, what do you do with it? Do you buy one of those rigs? Or maybe, just maybe, do you say, well, I could get an FTDX 10, or I could buy maybe a Kenwood 590SG, or possibly I could buy an ICOM 7300 and then buy a really good antenna with that money. Which way are you going to go? Interested to hear your comments. First, we'll welcome folks from around the world. Daniel, it's great to see you. Welcome back. Sorry we lost the stream, man. You can imagine, right? Doing a show. You're doing a show, and all of a sudden it says, this stream has stopped. You go, what happened? What's going on here? What usually I hit start again, it says, do you want to resume previous stream? It never did. I'm like, forget it. We'll just recut the whole doggone show. Hello there to Gunther in Germany. It's so good to have you back, man. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate you being here as always. You know I mean that. Yep, he did. I'm so grateful for him and very happy, Gunther, too, because, I got to tell you, honestly, when he made that call, he only made 1. His little brother, the 6-year-old, made 3. But, the little one that only made 1, it meant everything to him. He was so excited. He threw his hands in the air. He said, I got the North Pole. He was so excited. I think he maybe thought he talked to Santa Claus. I'm not sure. Anyway. Daniel, yep, the good thing I was managed, listen to this, able to make a contact from New Hampshire all the way to New Mexico on only 20 watts outside with an N-fed half-wave dipole. Man, that's fantastic. Well done, Daniel. Fantastic. That's great. Think about that distance, really. New Hampshire to New Mexico. That's one corner of the country all the way to the southwest. It's got to be over 2,100 miles. That's a long ways. Daniel, how far was it? Did you check QRZ? That's a long, long ways, man. Daniel says, thanks. Discover the fun of winding your own transformers. There you go. It's getting fun. Gunther from Germany, run an N-fed half-wave as a portable setup. Takes me around to Indonesia with 100 watts from the shores of the Rhine River. Does it sound beautiful? Think about that. Wow. Right there in Germany. I've always wanted to go to Germany. Germany and Denmark. I always wanted to see both. And Great Britain. Not that I don't like any other countries. And Australia too, I guess. But my point is, I've always wanted to see Germany because it's got such beautiful topography in it, Just beautiful stuff. Love to see Austria and love to see Germany. Gosh, to see the Rhine River. Wow. That'd be so darn cool. Wow. John is here. Great to see you. Thank you so much for coming all the way from Canada. It's great to see. We're going to help you, I hope, on your test. Keep studying. You're going to do well. You will, John. You will. We are very excited for you here. We hope that you are studying and you continue to study hard because you can get into ham radio. It's not that hard. You can do it. And I know the Canadian test is a little tough. I've done some work on it. In fact, this week we're going to do a little stuff on the UK test. Believe it or not, yeah, I'm going to be doing some test questions on the UK exam. I'm going to be sharing the answers with you guys. Very different. It's very different than the US and very different from Canada. It is. We'll talk about that. Should be fun. So that'll be neat. That'll be later on. Also, Steve is here from Great Britain. All depends on what antenna you can deploy. I have no room for any, so everything portable is for me. That's a lot of people in ham radio. It is, especially folks that live like in places like that are flats or they live in condos. multiple family apartment buildings, things like that, right? No, it's tough. Where do you put the antenna? In some places, say you're on the third floor of a building, right? And you can't put an antenna up. Then what? Your only thing you do is put an indoor antenna, and you have to worry about, RF exposure issues. So you have to be very, very careful. You don't want to be running power, that's for sure. There's great antenna products out there. QSO out of Italy makes a great indoor loop. We've talked about before. It's like $1,800, okay? But it's workable. You can use it inside. In fact, it's supposed to be inside. If you use it outside, the elements will ruin it. That's the whole point on that. So, yeah, Chiro Mazzoni, sold in the U.S., by the way, through DX Engineering. So that's how you'll find it. Stu Foster is here from Great Britain. Bless your heart, man. Welcome. Tell Fozzie we said hi, would you? It's nice to have you, Stu. I mean that. Daniel, check it out. Yep, 2,092 miles. I was 8 off. I said about 2,100. Daniel, that's great, man. Look at that. That's only with 20 watts. So you folks that are like on foundation licenses in the UK and you're worried you only got 10 watts to work with, Daniel just worked 2,100 miles with 20 watts. That's it, 20 watts. And the difference between 20 and 10 is really hardly anything. Seriously. So don't sweat the 10 watt thing, foundation licensed folks in the UK. That's not bad. You can work a long ways to 10 watts. You really can. Steve says, uses the Chameleon F Loop 2.0. I have one of those. I'm selling it this week on QRZ. I've got one. I've got too many loops. I'm selling 2 loops this week because my wife said, get that stuff out of the house, man. She says you're becoming a hoarder, so I got to stop doing it. Yeah. Tom, some of my best contacts are portable to portable, many into the UK. That's great from the Middle East. That's fantastic. That really is. You think about it. Middle East into Europe, still quite a ways. If you take a look, if I look at a U.S. map and take a look at Europe to the Middle East, that's well more than 3,000 miles. That's a long ways. Tom, fantastic. All right. So you got $3,000. Do you spend it all on a rig or do you buy a rig and an antenna? Now, don't get into, amplifiers and tuners and stuff like that. Just the rig and the antenna. Let's just leave it simple. Otherwise, you can go all over the place. Just be like a herding cats show. So, all right. So your question, $3,000. Do you spend it all on a transceiver or a transceiver and a quality antenna? That is the question. I faced it this week. I did. Because the stimulus check arrived. Plus, I sold the FTDX 10. Now, I had a commenter who asked about the FTDX 10, and I think it was kind of trying to needle me a little bit because he likes ICOM, and I kept the 7300. Well, the reason I did this is because I have a duplicate radio in the FTDX 101D. Really, I do. And it's better because it has VC tune, which makes a big difference. So the FTDX 10, made a lot of YouTube videos with it, and it was okay to sell. And the price is going to come down. So I know the price will come down. I'll wait and buy it when the price drops. It's no problem. It works out for me well, and I'm happy. Plus, it gives me a Kenwood rig to be announced on the channel very, very soon. Finally got a Kenwood. So I'm looking forward to bringing that here. But my thing was, okay, have the money. Do you buy the radio? Do you buy the big radio? Or do you buy maybe the radio and a good antenna to go with it? Made me think. Really did. We'll see. Kev, M0MCL, always a pleasure to see you all the way from Great Britain. Thanks, buddy. Says, I think it's fun to homebrew antennas. Loves to build it by himself. They can be done with fairly cheap materials. And it's true. Yeah. You got some wire. That's all you need. Really, you have wire. You have coax, you can solder, you can build your own antennas pretty easily. You really can. And what Kevin's talking about is pretty cool. He says, if you know what you're doing, so he would go for that Kenwood TS890S. I don't blame you. Not at all. That's a great transceiver, man. It really is. Only one receiver on it. Only one. But what Kenwood did with that transceiver is put really the best they had into it. It's the most current Kenwood offering out there on the high-end HF market. If you didn't know that. You might think the 990. No. The 890 came in 2018. It's the newest Kenwood big rig radio that they've sold. Yeah. And it's phenomenal. Its dynamic range numbers are off the charts. Highest rated on Sherwood's list. The 890S. Good call. That's a good one. Good job, Kev, on that. Steve says, I would buy the IC7610 as I'm used to operating the 705. That's really good. Love the 7610. Have the poster right there. Someday, hopefully, it'll be here. I actually had a chance to get a 7600. That was the radio I wanted out of learning ham radio to come in. I wanted the 7600. But, some people's prices are ridiculous. They're crazy high. They'll be asking a lot of money, like close to the price you pay for a 7610 used. At that point, you say, no, I like the radio, but not that much. So, then you see another one that's priced reasonably. And believe it or not, I was within $20 of buying it, $20. And I said, nope. I'm one of those people. I just am. Because I didn't have peace in my heart that was the right deal. 3 hours later, no joke, the right deal came. That's no lie. Wait till you see. You'll be surprised. Let me put it that way. You'll be very surprised. So that's why I didn't get the beautiful Kenwood 890S or the Elecraft K4. That's why. Because the right one came finally. Okay. DK50NV. Never had their Chameleon myself. Love the vertical. Does a great job. Their chaw loops are great. They both work brilliantly. They do. They make great products. They made out of Nevada. High quality materials. If you buy the loops, they're all LMR 400. They're very well engineered. Really good stuff. Chameleon makes good stuff. Yeah, they truly do. Robbie says, I'd buy a 7300 and a Tar Heel 200A. That's a great antenna. As a home base and work the work for $2,000. Work the work. Okay. I'm not sure what work the work means, but yeah, that's okay. So 7300 and the Tar Heel. That's a good combo. Because he gets the 7300 for under $1,000. He gets the Tar Heel antenna, which is about, I think, $650 or $700. Not sure where it's at now in price. Things are going up and down right now because supply is low. Do you know that? Have you noticed that in used prices in rigs too? They've went up. Have you noticed? They have. So that's a good one. Rob, love it. And thank you, by the way, for coming to the channel. It's always good to see you, buddy. Thank you. Yep. And John is right. Prices are only going to go up, and they are. Prices on used gear are rising. Seriously, take a look at it. But don't be dumb. Seriously, that's the best I can tell you. Don't want a rig so bad that you're willing to overpay for it. Take a look at what else is out there that might be as good or better. And don't be brand loyal to it. Don't say, oh my gosh, it's got to be a Kenwood. Don't do that. There's other stuff out there that's really good right now. We're making the best receivers ever in ham radio history. So remember that. Yep. Kevin, used to have a 7600 that was a very good workhorse. Yep, that was the final superhet base station design that ICOM made. That's why I wanted it. That was the reason why. It's a great rig. One VFO. Does have dual watch, which kind of works like a split function on it. But it's cool. It's really cool. The only thing I didn't have that I wanted, it doesn't have a display out port, but it's a great transceiver. Love the 7600. Steve says, in fairness, I could buy any radio as I have a spare bit of cash, but because I can't put up a home base antenna, it would be a waste. There's a lot of folks in Steve's situation. You know that? There really are. A lot of people have the money, but live in an area that they just simply can't put up an antenna. And that's hard. So you've got to be very creative. Steve, that's where, if you look at the Ciro Mazzoni stuff, their loop, their stealth loop, it's called the stealth loop. Find it there, CIRO Mazzoni. Okay, find it there. It's like 1800 and change, made out of Italy. It's handmade. It will work inside your QTH. Just put it away from your stuff. You already know that. But yeah, it's really good. It's supposed to be a fantastic loop. Very effective, like great on transmit and receive. Might work for you. Oh, sorry, work the world. Gotcha. Okay. So Robbie's talking 7300 plus the Tar Heel and $2,000 in his pocket, so he works the world. Look at that. That's pretty sweet. Well done, Rob. That's pretty sweet. See, then he keeps the $2,000 for the next radio. That's how it works. Robbie, thanks for being here. Tom says, fell in love with the TS-890 at first sight. It's on my bucket list. Antenna to be determined. Yeah, me too. I've worked the 890 a lot at Ham Radio Outlet in Portland. It's really cool. It's great radio. It really is. A little clunky in some places. It kind of acts like if you've ever looked or worked a 7610, for example, and you go to the 890, the 7610 is 10 times easier to work. The 890 begs you to learn to use a radio. That's really the difference. The 890 sounds a lot better than the 7610. There's no comparison there. There's none. You can be like half deaf and still hear the difference. The Kenwood just sounds better, but the 7610 is such a breeze to use and simple and very effective, very powerful. The 890S a little more difficult to use than the 7610. Let's see, we've got Eddie. Eddie's in the house. Nice to see you. He says, nothing one can do with an expensive radio to enjoy long distance DX. Get a cheap radio, but invest in a good beam on a tower. Eddie, that's good advice if you can do it. Yep, good advice if you can do it. See, and that assumes that you live in a place that will allow you to put a tower up. Many of us don't, myself included. And you can get yourself a big beam. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen how big a 40-meter Yagi is. They're huge. I mean, like, they're almost as long as your house huge. No joke, for 40 meters. For a good quality beam, they're big. And they require a crane or a group of a whole bunch of your buddies that'll come over for a keg of beer and put it up. But make sure you put it up before they have the keg of beer, okay? Before. You don't want a whole bunch of drunk guys up on your tower trying to hook up a Yagi. No. But it's big. Yeah, but if you have the ability to do it, say you've got some acreage, you don't have any HOAs, you can put up a tower. That's the most brilliant thing you could do. Tower could cost you 3, 4, 8, 9, 10 grand. Your antenna could cost you the same, but you'll have the best of everything when you do it. Okay? You will. That's the best way to do ham radio. Many of us, in fact, most of us in ham radio can't do it. Do you know the most used antenna in ham radio? Do you know what it is? I'll ask you this question. I'd be interested to see what your response is. Is it a vertical? Is it a wire? Is it a directional? Okay, so directionals can mean like, a hex beam, a spider beam, an opti beam, a Yagi, a log periodic, a homebrew. Okay, so directional antenna, vertical antenna, wire antenna. Which one do you think is the most used? And we're not going to talk about it in terms of, because of Parks on the Air. I'm talking about home QTH, the most used. I read a research article on it recently, and you might be surprised at the results. And the reason why makes total sense. So, yeah, there you go. Will Myers, yes, the supply is low. Just ordered the 7300. They said it would take about a month to get it. Wow, I'm very surprised because I've seen a ton of 7300s out there in different stores. So that's really good. And that's same with the 990. Can't get it. FTDX10 is now back ordered again. Let's see. The 990s are gone. The 590 SGs are almost gone. 890S you can still get at a couple of HRO stores I know. Let's see. 7610s are out of stock. 7300s are easier to find, but wow, you're right. Ones that are still out there, really, if you want like a 991A, you can still find those. You have to just kind of look out and be careful for it. Yeah. Steve has seen the loop at local Emporium. Yeah. It kind of looks like a tire jack stand. It really does. It looks like a jack stand for a car. That's how the Ciro Mazzoni stealth loop looks. You'd never know it's a radio antenna. It's pretty cool. Let's see. All right. So Thor, Kilo Zero, Tango Juliet, Tango. Should have it memorized. Good afternoon. Spend most on directional antenna and coax. Everyone will think you have a big radio too. Yeah, you can do that. Absolutely. If you can get yourself a nice directional beam, okay, remember you only got $3,000. Most directionals are going to cost you a lot more than $3,000. But you can get, for example, the MFJ 1848. That's priced at, I think, $750. Get a rotator, what's that going to run you? $500. So there's 750, 500, 1250, and then you got to be able to put it up. So, a little bit of aluminum to be able to get it up, and you've got yourself an antenna that's going to be able to be directional. Got maybe $1,500 invest into it. Then throw some money into the good coax, and then you basically have your rig. Pretty cool. And it makes a big difference. He's right. 7300 is going to sound just as good as a 990S on a directional antenna. In fact, a Yaesu 450D on a good directional antenna is going to sound exactly the same. You're exactly right. Yep. Robbie said to Steve in Great Britain, ground mount a Tar Heel 200A. If he's able to do that, yeah, if he's able to. If the thing is that I don't know, I think Steve may live in maybe one of those places where there's lots of apartments, lots of homes that are built on multiple levels. I'm assuming that. Okay, I'm assuming. If you do, hard to mount a ground mount anything because you're up high. Yeah. So you can't ground mount anything there. It's tough to do. Let's see. Holding up, what do we got? My goodness. Yes, Ham Radio Outlets where he ordered the 7300. And they had a ton of them a week ago. Literally. I was there. Yep. Steve, can't ground mount anything in my apartment. There you go. That's what I thought. I thought he was like in a multiple apartment building. So if you're like, in an apartment building, say a second or third floor, can't ground mount a single thing because you can't, there's no ground. There's not there. You don't have anywhere to do it. So really the only thing open to him is a loop. There's really nothing left. So that's tough. Dipole, Will Myers asks about the antenna question. Which one's the most common? He's the first one in, and he's exactly right. Most used antenna in ham radio. Yep. Dipole, wire dipole is the most used most used antenna in all of ham radio. And there's partial reasons for it. But the research study said because it's the cheapest and most affordable way to get your signal out there. It is. Now, it may not be the most effective. Notice I didn't say effective. I said affordable. Effective is always going to be a directional. But not everybody can throw $30,000 into a directional beam. Okay, $15,000. Let's say 15. That's about the bottom. Seriously, it's about the bottom you're going to spend because you're going to have to get the tower. You're going to have to, and you can say, well, I could buy a used one on QRZ. Good luck with that. I hope that thing doesn't fall down. No! Jeez. No, never. No, never, never, never. Never, never. Unless they say it's never been used and you can prove it. That's a lot to go up, 60, 70 feet in the air. Man. So a new tower is going to cost you thousands. The antenna is going to cost you thousands. Even, if you buy like an urban beam from Step IR, that is like almost $3,000. And that's a very fantastic antenna. It really is. So just that alone, then you still got to buy the rotator and a thrust bearing. You've got to get the permits. Directionals are expensive. That's why wires are so much used in ham radio. Yep. You're right. All right, let's see. Thor is right too. Yep, most used is a wire. Yep. Let's see. Kev, best feeling in the world when you homebrew an antenna and make good DX. That's I'm not Kev. I'm sorry. I cannot say the end of that part. I just can't do it. That's funny. Yeah, there is real satisfaction with building your own antenna, and then an antenna works somebody in another continent. That's just how my 6 and 8-year-old grandnephews felt yesterday when they built their antenna in the backyard that made contacts to Canada and Alaska. It's just a magical feeling. So yeah, what Kevin is saying is exactly right. Yeah. Chiro Mazzoni, Stealth Loop, 1,179.95 pounds at local Emporium. It's pricey. It's pricey. But it's supposed to have real good numbers. That's one thing it's supposed to have. So inside, an apartment building, it's supposed to work pretty well. That's why they built it. Honestly, that's why they built that antenna. So there you go. And the IC7300, yes, it is the best-selling ham radio in the history of ham radio. First box with knobs SDR. Flex Radio, who started SDRs back in 2000 with the Flex 1000, did not put knobs on a radio until The current series, the signature series, Flex 6400 and 6600Ms came out. Basically, it's a Maestro that's on the front of the box, but that's the first box with knobs that Flex ever made. ICOM revolutionized ham radio when they put a direct sampling SDR with knobs and controls on it that you could put anywhere and fit inside your vehicle if you needed to, or take with you to parks in the air, remote work, stuff like that. Brilliant. And it has sold tons because of it. Like it or not, ICOM did brilliantly with that radio. They really have. And it's a really good radio. It really is. Under $1,000 too. That's a really good steal. It truly is. Tom says, guess most used antenna will be a wire of some sort for the lower band guys. 180. Sorry, it's 80 and 160. Yeah. Think of how long that is though. For 160, it's over 232 feet of wire. That's how long that dipole has to be. 232 feet of wire. Hopefully you have a big property. That won't fit on mine. It won't. I have to use a vertical. Only way to do it. All right, random hobbyist question. Anyone know what happened to the FTM 7250DR? They only been out for a few years, and I'm seeing that they're discontinued. It seems odd they discontinue a radio that quickly. Yaesu has pulled back a lot of stuff lately, I've noticed. Yeah, I've noticed they did that. See, and he continues, seems weird as they recently discontinued the FT8900 about a year ago, and that radio had been out since early 2000. You know, look at the radios that Yaesu's cut too, random hobbyists. Think about it. Not only those, but the 450D as well, the 1200 gone, now the 3000 gone. You know, they're really paring down what they sell in ham radio. Why? I don't know. I know they're selling a lot of FTDX 10s right now. That's for sure. That's their ICOM 7300 right now. That's Yaesu's 7300. Their 101Ds are working very, very well too. MPs are typically still available. Seems like maybe the price point might be a little too high in the MP for people to go for it, even though they get the extra 100 watts, okay? No power supply needed. Get a speaker with it, a little more filtering, and dual VC tune. That's basically the difference. But it's not worth maybe the extra $1,100-$1,200 for folks. So the Deltas are hard to find. The 101Ds are hard to find. MPs typically in stock somewhere. Yeah, good point. Yaesu has cut a lot of radios. Let's see. Joe McConaughey is here. Joe, welcome to the show. It's great to see you all the way from California. No, wait. Hold on. Now I got to remember. Doggone it. Alpha Golf 7 X-Ray Hotel. I don't want to cheat and go on QRZ. John, it's really a pleasure, Joe. Sorry to have you back on the channel. Thanks for being here, buddy. Thank you for coming back. Joe will usually come on. He'll say, I'm late. No, you're always here. It's great to have you. He's running a 160 meter full wave wire loop with AT4K. Well, that's great. Good for you, man. You've got some room to run that. You've got some room. And you know, if you've got room, you got acreage, you've got a huge advantage over many of us who live in suburbia or folks that live in apartment homes. You know, if you're in, an apartment building and you're a ham radio operator, you have the challenge of your life staying on the air. You do. You really do. That's why, like folks like Steve in UK, they really go out. I mean, my heart goes out to them because I can understand how hard that is, because you want a good transmitting antenna. You can receive just fine. No problem. You can put up a loop. You can put up any receive loop in here. Throw a Wellbrook up. You'll hear anything. Through a window, by a wall, wherever. But the point is that you got to transmit too. And you don't want to hurt your family either. It's a juggling act. So, yeah, that's a tough spot. But Steve, I do know that Cheryl Mazzoni is doing really well with that stealth loop. They are spendy, but it's a family-owned company. It's small, and that's most likely why it is. He's in Washington State. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate helping me. I was a little worried. It's like, oh, no. Where's Joe? Anyway, thanks for helping me out there, buddy. It's nice to see you. And Eddie is back. Good to see you, Eddie. It's been a while. Golf Whiskey 6, Bravo X-Ray uniform from South Wales in the United Kingdom. Nice to see you today, Eddie. Thank you for coming. Thank you. All right. Final few moments because I'm about done. I'm on like 4 hours of sleep. It's CQ Worldwide. So, There's stuff to be done. Today's question, you got $3,000. Do you spend it all on the rig? Use the antennas you have, right? Do you spend it all on the rig? Or do you parse some of it out for a tower for an antenna and part of it out for a rig? Do you maybe cut back on that transceiver and buy a really good antenna? Maybe you're running a dipole. Maybe you're running a G5RV. You're running a ZS6 BKW, end-fed wire. I don't care. You're running a wire and you want to maybe try a vertical. You want to do that instead. Okay. Now you're getting more noise. You know that, right? You're going to get more noise because a dipole doesn't hear noise in all directions. It doesn't transmit in all directions like a vertical does. A vertical, though, will typically have a lower takeoff angle, and it has a better way to pick up DX because it transmits in horizontal. That's why. It's good. Verticals are good. That's why vertical antennas are used in most ham radio stores, in terms of people that use ham radio, I should say. You'll find vertical antennas are very, very popular because they just simply work. Okay. Now you may need a ton of ground radials to make it work, a ton, but that's not hard. The grass grows over the top of them. You don't even see it. Or you buy something like the high gain AV680 vertical, which will run full legal limit. It'll run 80 through 6, and it has folding counterpoises. No ground radials needed whatsoever. The Gap Titan is the same way. They're both the same way. Yeah, do the same thing. Step IR, the big IR, does need ground verticals. But interestingly enough, it's a mechanical vertical. Did you know that? The Step IR vertical antenna has a motor in it that will electrically lengthen and shorten the amount of copper that's inside the tube to make it resonant for the frequency that you're working. Isn't that phenomenal? That's what the Step IR Big IR does. Yeah, it works mechanically for the frequency you're using to make it a perfect match. Pretty cool. All right. Random hobbies. At least Yaesu includes their mounting brackets compared to ICOM. Well, yeah. I mean, they do bring some stuff in. Absolutely. And I will tell you this. And I think you mentioned up here, yeah, you did. Okay. Let's say 250DR. I like Yaesu 2 meters 440 over ICOM or Kenwood. I just prefer them more because of System Fusion and Wires X. It is such a benefit. If you don't know about it or haven't seen it, take time to look into it. The System Fusion Wires X system is phenomenal. And there are thousands of people that monitor that stuff. And it's fantastic. There's no static. You just listen. Sure, it's VoIP, it's going over the internet. But man, you're sometimes calling over a repeater off your rig, hits the repeater, which is connected to, the internet connection right there at the repeater site, right? So you're using voice over internet protocol, goes out over the internet. You just run through like the America room or the London room or the Australia room or Germany or wherever, and you talk to people in those countries, and it sounds just like FM. It's phenomenal. It really is. That's a plus to Yaesu. I think it really is. And a ton of people have bought those rigs and used that service a lot. Free, by the way. Doesn't cost you anything extra to use Wires X, which is nice. Tom, maybe the final comment of the show. My back's killing me. I'm so sorry, guys. Please forgive me. I'm really sore. You're right. Purchase the FDM 3200. It's now finished as well. Much competition now with other companies like TYT, etc. Yeah. You're going to see, I think, a lot of Chinese companies coming into ham radio quickly. I think it's coming very quickly. We've seen it with Zygu, right? We've seen it with Zygu. You're going to see more coming in, I think, in the coming years, because it's much cheaper to build a software-defined radio, anything, than it is to build a super heterodyne that's good. Okay? It is simpler to build a computer that can be a good radio than it is to build a fantastic super heterodyne transceiver. It is. And it's not only easier to build, it's cheaper to build. So when cost is involved for a company, you can build huge profit margins in, because really all you're building is really essentially a computer that works a radio. Now in Yaesu's case, it's a super heterodyne radio hybrid. So it's, I don't want you confused. Don't want to confuse you. It is a SDR. Okay, it is an SDR, but at the front end, it's a superhead. That's why it's called the hybrid. It uses a 9 megahertz front end, so the intermediate frequency is 9 megahertz, narrows it down. What does that do? Why does it make the radio better? It makes it quieter because the SDR is not hearing everything else. It's only hearing it down at 9 megahertz. It filters it in. It's like a funnel. Makes it sound quieter, and it is quieter. It really is. This is the best transceiver reviews. If you really want to see how good this rig is, and understand, I've got almost 50 years of working DX. So what the last show I did last night, CQ Worldwide, was, I think, the very best receive work I've ever done in my life. I mean that sincerely. And to some, you might look at that and go, that's nothing. Okay, great. You work a station that's 4 to 8,000 miles away next to a local station that's working a 5759 signal, 1 kc to 2 kc away. Do it 3 times. Yeah. And then do it live on a YouTube show. Don't edit it. Don't make it one call after another, and you see the time on the clock changing over and over again because they've just cut it. No, that was live. That whole show was live from 7.1 7.128 to 7.2 megs. That's where it was. And it literally was one and then another and another. And I'm hearing it in only one ear. I'm doing the best I can to work the radio. And it did do it 3 times where there was a signal 2 kilohertz or less from the other one. And in each time, the other one was DX. That's the best work I've ever done, to be honest. And I'm really, I hate to say the word proud. I'm grateful to have made last night's show. I really am, because I didn't even realize what it was until I saw it this morning and thought, gosh, hold on a second. Because I was logging them and having to, send them emails. And I'm like, those were really close. Because I've told you guys before, when I tune a radio, I don't look at it. I have my eyes closed. I listen. I really focus on what I'm hearing. I don't look at a VFO. I don't see a pan adapter. And I looked at them going, man, that was only a kilohertz apart. And that one's only 2. And that one's only 2. And here's Japan on one. Here's Hawaii on another one. And here's New Zealand on the third. No joke. So when I say that the FTDX 101, whether it be the D or MP, is the very best receiver I've ever used, it's because I've never, ever heard a radio do that. Never. And it's because the 9 megahertz front end. It's got to be. It's got to be, because the 7300 won't do that. It just doesn't do that thing. It'll go 2.5 to 3. It will separate 2.5. The 7300 will. You can narrow the filters down. I've done it 100 times, but it won't do 1 to 2, and the 101 does. That's the big difference. Huge. Huge. All right. We're going to say, I think, a few more. Let me get your final comments. We'll close the show bow out here. And by the way, I do love Yaesu, and I do love ICOM. I do love Kenwood. I like Flex. I like Elecraft. I like, what is it here? Apache Labs, Pentec. I'm not brand loyal to anybody. I'm not sponsored by anybody. But here's the thing. You will get my honest opinion here. And I've been doing radio for almost 50 years. Okay? I will tell you this. I have never worked a radio like I did last night on this one. Never. That was probably an hour and 20 minutes, and I was mentally exhausted. I literally went to bed, and I was out like that because it's so much concentration trying to hear the signals in one ear and make it work, because the show is, for whatever reason, I'm hearing it only on my right channel. But my point is, that was a lot of work to do that show. And to do it in the way it was done, to hear those signals, you hear them so much better on YouTube because you hear them in both channels. And when I heard them going, why? Well, of course I couldn't pick up the call sign. I'm only hearing it in one ear. That gives you a huge benefit when you hear it on replay, right? Because I'm here on replay and go, why couldn't I figure that out sooner? Why couldn't I made the call? Well, of course I'm hearing in one ear. So that's what held me up. But I will tell you this. Whatever transceiver you buy, hold on to it. Martin, Papa Echo 9, Tango India Golf, I believe is his call sign here on the channel, has an Alinco 77. He says, I'm growing old, my Alinco 77. Find you're a Linko 77, but don't put down other people's rigs because, quite honestly, it makes you look like a moron. Sorry, just tell you the facts right here. I'm not afraid to say what I think. I'll tell you if a rig sinks, I'll tell you if an antenna sucks, and I'll tell you if what I think you're doing's wrong. You will miss out on some great rigs if you think only one rig manufacturer makes the be-all end-all of transceivers. Period. The end. Man, take a look at the other stuff that's out. This is the best time to be in ham radio in the history of the hobby. Do you realize that? This is the zenith of ham radio right now. The best dynamic range numbers we have ever seen. The best reciprocal intermodulation distortion we've ever seen for SDRs. The very best IMD numbers we've ever seen for receivers is right now. So don't get yourself chained to a brand because that's your brand. Because you're going to miss some great rigs that other people make that really are amazing stuff. And I just made that move to show you that by getting rid of one of the best rigs I ever had, the FTDX10, to bring a Kenwood here because I know how good Kenwoods are. I've had them. And I think it's good to show you how special they are. And one of those shows I'm so excited to do. I want to put the Kenwood up against the 101. I'm going to work weak signal. I want to see if the 101's pan adapter screen can pick up that signal. I do. Because there are some signals that I believe in a waterfall you're going to miss because they're so faint in the noise. Really, your ear's the best way to work a ham radio, guys. They are. All right, final words from the group. Thanks for being here, by the way. Pro Cyclist, W4, Lima, Oscar, Oscar. If you could choose the Chiro Mazzoni magnetic baby loop with a stealth loop for a large wood deck and a HOA, which would you choose? I would definitely choose the baby. Yep, definitely. Don't do the stealth. The stealth is really, you got to keep it inside, first of all, because it's got components on the outside that can get damaged in rain. The baby's made for outside. Plus, it will handle more power, too. So, you use the baby loop. I think it's, 450 watts? Man, you're golden. That's a great loop. It is. It's expensive, though. Yeah, it's expensive. I would definitely go with the baby loop. I really would. But I haven't tested it yet. I want you to know. I've asked them and they said, hey, we'll think about maybe send you an antenna in 2021. So we'll see if they do. I would love to try one of their loops. I would because I've got people that want to know about them. Yeah. Tom, thank you. You're too kind. Thor, you as well. Bless your heart, Joe. You guys are so nice. Bless your heart. Look at y'all thinking of me. You're so kind. Thank you, everybody. Adash is here. Hey, Adash, good to see you, man. Holy cow. Nice to see you, buddy. Always a pleasure. Wow. Adash, I've missed you, man. It's great to see you. Thanks for coming. Yeah, thank you very much. One thing I promise, we'll close the show here. Folks, I'm always going to be straight with you. I will. I'll tell you what I think. If I don't like a rig, you're going to know. If I think something's overpriced, you're going to know. But I'll be honest with you. It's just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right. It's my opinion. Use your head, use your opinion, and think of what your heart really wants. And you're going to find the radio, the antenna, all the stuff that really fit you. Because that's why we're all different in ham radio. Nobody's right on everything. Nobody. But you're right in how you think because you have the right to your own opinion and you have a right to how you feel. There's no such thing as a perfect radio. There is no such perfect antenna. And there's no such perfect way to build your shack. Build it the way you're happy. Grow old with it. And enjoy ham radio. If you'd like to get into ham radio, please, just get on board that internet. Get a hold of aarl.org, whether you're in the U.S. or outside our country. Feel free, contact them by email. They'll connect you with a local radio club near you to help you get on the air. My name's Larry. My call sign is Kilo 7 Hotel November. It's an honor and privilege to do the show for all of you. I mean that with all my heart. I do this because I give back to people in this way so that people don't make the mistake I did by just doggone waiting too long to get themselves their license. That's the honest truth. I just don't want you to make the same mistake I did. don't do it. Don't think it's too hard. It's not too hard. You can do this. You can. Just take your time, learn, grow, and understand you will learn 10 times more, maybe 20 times more once you get your license and start using a radio. All right. If you want my email, find it on QRZ.com. That's QRZ.com. My call sign is K7HN. It is listed right there on QRZ. Click on the email link. It'll give you direct feedback to me, and I will respond as soon as I can. Promise you, okay? From Oregon, I'm Larry. 73 is from me and my family. K7HN is my call sign. God bless you all. Have a wonderful Sunday, and good night, everybody.
You have been viewing WSBK TV in Boston. WSBK TV is owned and operated by New Boston Television Incorporated, a wholly owned subsidiary of the Storer Broadcasting Company, and operates on UHF Channel 38, as authorized by the Federal Communications Commission. WSBK TV studios and offices are at 83 Leo Birmingham Parkway, and transmitter and antenna are located at 140 Cabot Street, Needham, Massachusetts. WSBK TV now ends its broadcast day. And now, our national anthem.